Hi, this is the Children of Karma, and my name is Ariel, and today we're going to discuss Mars and Saturn ancestral aspects. This aspect is a fear of the masculine, a suppression of the masculine energy, and typically it's about a domineering father where you were unable to express yourself, express your will. With my father, there was never space for my opinion. I was always doing what I was told. And if I didn't, there was always that threat of violence, which is also typical of this aspect. Perhaps there's a violence experience in childhood, and it can create this hesitancy and this doubt in regards to expressing yourself and this masculine energy. And as the child grows up, they gain more and more power over their decisions and their behavior. And, it can go either way. Sometimes you can be a very hesitant person and people are walking all over you, or you can be a very controlling person who, for example, my father always needed to control the women in his life. That was his sense of security. And that fear of that masculine energy, at first it's deceiving, that strength, that armor that's put up, that controlling, domineering, kind of militant energy. And a lot of ancestors were in the military, and I can see that sort of pattern just continuing to repeat itself. Not having the power and then growing up into adulthood and using that power in the way that you've seen it in the past, just repeating that conditioning. And I remember even, being in this position myself. Both of my parents have this, and I have this as well. Being in this position, at first I thought the power was, I thought serial killers, I thought they had somehow found the power from, that childhood of powerlessness. And I was so misguided there because of seeing the strength in my father as this aggressive, this controlling, had to have it his way, very jealous, very suspicious. This king kind of attitude that he had. This appeared like strength in the home, because my mother, women with this placement can choose a man who's very domineering, very kind of rough, just like my father was. My father was a criminal, and he had a long criminal record, and even an attempted murder was there. So it was like the threat of violence was very much real, and it can stifle that ability to even act. And if we think about it from the man's perspective, it's like this is the only way that he knows how to behave. And it's a feeling of being uncomfortable with that masculine role in society. They must actually go within and redefine that sense of masculinity so that they're not feeling like they have to dominate someone in order to prove that they're a man. This can be very difficult to live with, and to this spectrum to be on is very tough. And we've had some very controversial people with this placement, like Hitler, for example. You can use this in a very unhealthy, unbalanced way. And moving on with this placement, there's competition, there's the fear of competition, there's being overly competitive too. there are issues with impulse control and discipline. So needing to learn the discipline. For me, exercise has helped in this arena. It has taught me to trust in the process, delayed gratification. You will get your results if you continue to follow the plan, follow the routine, Saturn. And for example, fear and courage. There were a lot of fearful moments after my injury, after my surgeries, having to walk outside again with a cane, and with this fear of violence and getting hurt at any moment because of my vulnerability. This was something challenging, and even little things, I just had no control over my body. You'll have tests of strength and courage. For example, with my bladder, this took a lot of stamina and discipline. And it was like, it's interesting. It was one Christmas day, one Christmas morning, that I realized if I cough, I could urinate on my own. So I decided, well, every time I go, I'm going to try to cough. I could only manage twice, like 2 times a day, because it was so rough on my throat. But then I started teaching my body that this is how we do it now, follow through. And eventually it became a process of less coughing and more pushing. And now we're at a point with no devices, no catheters, and pain, but manageable. I can manage it. I can handle it. And I have the endurance and the stamina to make it. And this was something that had never been done, and something I was told that couldn't happen. And so you have the ability to achieve miracles with this because you just won't quit. You won't quit. And even with the medications that I was on, very heavy pain medication, opiates, hydromorphone, buprenorphine. I just recently got off of buprenorphine, and I've gotten off of all of these medications by myself with no rehab, no NA or AA. And this is the kind of willpower and endurance, stamina that you can have. You can achieve these things. Like this was very much a Saturn Mars kind of process. It's holding on and getting through this. I just recently removed my buprenorphine patch, and so I'm on the 11th day now without any pain patch. And this is something that is, that a Mars Saturn person can do. They have the endurance, the stamina, and they can hold on for a long time. And if they set their mind to it, they can accomplish it. So try to steer this aspect more towards that end of the spectrum where you're focusing on a goal that's very productive, that is beneficial for you, and stay focused. In regards to sex, this can be this can also be a little bit abusive because there's this need for domination. With the man, they need to dominate the woman, and women can experience abuse with this. And it's a process that's very mechanical, that's devoid of any pleasure and companionship. It's mechanical. And I've had this experience, and I guess you're in your own head, or maybe you believe that you're giving up some sort of power through this act. and your mind won't allow you to relax and be in the moment and enjoy it. So usually there's a lot of frustration, and I've been there too. This can also be like men who want to focus on their stamina, or they always have a problem with their stamina, or they have to talk about it, and this is also common. And there's also Kundalini energy here as well. And there are many ways to use it in a positive. It's about breaking the cycle. And yes, you were dominated as a child, but that doesn't mean that as an adult you have to dominate others. Because actually that's not the way to show strength. Showing strength is allowing people to make choices on their own and being okay with the decisions of other people, being okay with who you are, the masculine and the feminine energy, and balancing that energy. Thank you guys for joining me, and please visit thechildrenofkarma.com and explore our services, the Ancestral Patterns services. Unlock all of the patterns that you are carrying on from your ancestors and find a better way to manage it. Be the curse breaker, break the cycle, and teach your future and your children how to better manage these aspects as well. Be a better guide. And thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.